The vast emptiness of space held its breath as the research vessel Stellar Horizon drifted through the Kuiper Belt. Lieutenant Commander Jasmine Hayes stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes reflecting the distant starlight. After 6 months of studying ice formations at the edge of the solar system, the mission had started to feel routine, until now. "Commander," the ship's AI, Arya, spoke with unusual urgency. "I'm detecting an anomalous signal originating from beyond Pluto's orbit. The pattern suggests artificial origin." Jasmine's heart raced as she straightened her uniform. "Show me." The holographic display came alive with pulsing waves of data. The signal was unlike anything in their databases, a complex mathematical sequence that couldn't be natural. "Wake Captain Thompson," she ordered, "and get me the quantum comm link to Earth Command." Within minutes, the bridge hummed with activity. Captain David Thompson, a veteran of space exploration with silver threading through his dark hair, studied the signal intently. "Could it be one of ours?" "No, sir," Jasmine replied, pointing to specific patterns in the data. "The signal uses principles we've only theorized about. Someone out there has mastered quantum entanglement communication." Before Thompson could respond, Arya's voice cut through the tension. "Captain, new contact detected. A vessel just appeared, sir. No conventional propulsion signature." The main viewport revealed a sight that would forever change human history. A ship of impossible grace hung against the star field, its crystalline structure seeming to bend light itself. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Stellar Horizon, and clearly not of Earth origin. "All hands to stations," Thompson ordered, his voice steady despite the historic moment. "But maintain passive posture. Let's not make humanity's first contact a hostile one." The alien vessel's surface rippled like liquid mercury, and suddenly, a beam of light struck the Stellar Horizon. Instead of damage, it established a communication link. The bridge's speakers came alive with a voice that seemed to echo in their minds as much as their ears. "Children of Earth," the voice spoke in perfect English, somehow translated in real time, "we come seeking sanctuary. The darkness hunts us, and soon, it will hunt you too." The voice belonged to Zara, the last High Counselor of the Valkyrie civilization. Her holographic form materialized on the bridge, tall, ethereal, with iridescent skin and eyes that held centuries of wisdom. The Valkyrie were a species dedicated to understanding the universe's mysteries, she explained, until they discovered something that should have remained hidden. "The Nexus," Zara's voice trembled slightly, "a consciousness born in the space between galaxies. It consumes not just bodies, but minds, cultures, entire civilizations. We fled when it devoured our outer colonies, hoping to warn others." Captain Thompson shared a look with Jasmine before responding. "High Counselor, humanity has long wondered if we were alone in the universe. While we're honored to make first contact, we need verification of this threat." Zara's form shimmed as she raised her hand, projecting images that made the crew gasp. Entire worlds turned to ash, billions of beings transformed into mindless drones, and at the center of it all, a writhing mass of darkness that defied description. "Earth must be warned," Zara insisted. "Your species has achieved much, but you're still visible to them. The Nexus feeds on technological advancement, on consciousness itself. You have perhaps a planetary rotation before our pursuers detect your civilization." "Our pursuers?" Jasmine asked, but her question was answered by Arya's urgent alert. "Multiple quantum distortions detected. 3, no, 5 vessels emerging. They were nothing like the elegant Valkyrie ship. These were angular, black forms that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Where the Valkyrie vessel spoke of advancement and wisdom, these screamed of hunger and destruction." "Nexus hunting vessels," Zara confirmed grimly. "They've followed our quantum wake. Captain Thompson, you must trust us. Your weapons cannot harm them, but we can protect you if you'll aid us in return." Thompson's decision would shape humanity's future. In the span of a heartbeat, he weighed first contact protocols against the survival of his crew, and possibly his species. "What do you need?" "Your ship's unique antimatter containment system," Zara explained quickly. "Combined with our quantum field technology, we can create a weapon that will buy us time to reach Earth. To warn them." As the hostile ships closed in, Jasmine worked with the Valkyrie engineers, who transferred aboard through streams of pure light. Their technologies merged in ways that defied human understanding, creating something entirely new. The Nexus ships opened fire, their weapons distorting space itself. The stellar horizon shuddered, but the Valkyrie vessels' shields held, extending their protection to the human ship. The combined human-Valkyrie weapon took form, a jury-rigged conjunction of antimatter pods and quantum field generators. "Target locked," Jasmine announced, her fingers dancing over the modified controls. "But this will drain our antimatter reserves. We'll have no way to power our drive home." "If we fail," Thompson replied grimly, "there won't be a home to return to." Fire. The weapon released a cascade of quantum-entangled antimatter that twisted reality itself. Two of the Nexus ships disappeared instantly, torn apart at the quantum level. The others reeled, their perfect formations broken. "Now!" Zara commanded. Her ship enveloped the stellar horizon in a quantum field, and together they jumped, not through space, but through reality itself. When they emerged, Earth's blue marble hung before them, beautiful and unaware of how the universe had just changed. As emergency meetings were called and Earth's governments scrambled to respond to the situation, Jasmine stood with Zara in the stellar horizon's observation deck, watching her home world turn below. "They'll come for Earth," Zara said softly. "The Nexus never stops hunting. But perhaps together, our peoples can achieve what neither could alone." Jasmine nodded, her expression determined. "Then we'll be ready. Humanity has survived everything Earth has thrown at us. We'll survive this too." The first transmission to Earth Control went out, carrying news that would forever change human history. "Earth Command, this is Stellar Horizon. We are not alone, and we are not ready. The greatest fight in human history is about to begin." 48 hours after first contact, the United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tension. Director Regina Winters watched the holographic display with growing concern as the Valkyrie data painted a picture of humanity's vulnerability. Solar system defense grids, once thought impregnable, now seemed as fragile as spider webs before a storm. Lieutenant Commander Jasmine Hayes stood beside High Counselor Zara, their contrasting figures, one in a crisp military uniform, the other in flowing quantum-woven robes, symbolizing the unlikely alliance forming between their species. The Valkyrie's iridescent skin caught the light as she manipulated the holographic display, showing the Nexus's devastating path across 3 galaxies. "Our calculations suggest we have perhaps 3 Earth months before their main force arrives," Zara explained, her melodic voice carrying an edge of urgency. "They will send advanced scouts first, testing your defenses, learning your weaknesses." Director Winters leaned forward, her steel-gray hair framing a face hardened by decades of military service. "And these scouts, they're not just gathering intelligence, are they?" "No," Jasmine answered, stepping forward. "From what we witnessed, they're converting teams. Every person they capture becomes part of their network. Their hive mind." The chamber erupted in murmurs of horror as Zara projected images of converted beings, once living creatures now merged with machine, their consciousness subsumed by the Nexus. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural purple light, all individuality stripped away. "We've already begun adapting Valkyrie shielding technology to protect our major cities," Marcus Thorne, Earth's chief of technology, reported. His dark fingers danced across a tablet, bringing up project schematics. "But implementing it planet-wide in 3 months. Impossible," someone muttered. "Nothing's impossible," came a new voice. Dr. Raven Patel strode into the chamber, her quantum mechanics team following close behind. We've been studying the Valkyrie quantum field generators. Their principles align perfectly with my theoretical work on dimensional barriers. Jasmine felt a spark of hope. Dr. Patel's reputation preceded her, the youngest person ever to win the Nobel Prize in Physics, and the pioneer of humanity's quantum communication network. If anyone could adapt alien technology to Earth's needs, it was her. The Nexus operates on a quantum level, Raven continued, her eyes bright with determination. But that's their weakness too. They're so interconnected that if we can disrupt their quantum coherence, you could shatter their hive mind, Zara finished, her expression showing the first hint of hope since their arrival. The next 2 months transformed Earth. Cities sprouted quantum shield generators, their shimming domes becoming a new normal against the sky. Military bases became testing grounds for hybrid weapons, combining human ingenuity with Valkyrie wisdom. And in orbit, a joint fleet took shape, human warships retrofitted with alien technology. But the Nexus struck before they were ready. The first attack came at dawn over the Pacific. 3 scout ships, their black forms twisting reality around them, emerged from quantum space. Earth's early warning systems, enhanced by Valkyrie tech, screamed to life. Jasmine found herself aboard the UES Defiant, now humanity's first quantum hybrid warship. Captain Thompson had insisted she serve as liaison officer, bridging the gap between human and Valkyrie crew members. Multiple quantum ruptures detected, Arya's voice, now integrated with Valkyrie AI, reported. Nexus vessels are deploying boarding craft. Their trajectory suggests they're targeting the Singapore Quantum Shield facility. Not on our watch, Jasmine muttered. All hands, battle stations. The engagement that followed would be studied in military academies for generations. The Defiant's human weapons, guided by Valkyrie targeting systems, struck with unprecedented precision. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through conventional shields, while modified rail guns fired shells that disrupted the enemy's quantum field coherence. But the Nexus ships adapted quickly. Their organic technology evolved in real time, developing countermeasures. One boarding craft made it through, smashing into Singapore's shield facility. Jasmine led the response team, her pulse rifle modified with Valkyrie tech. They found the facility's staff either dead or worse, partially converted, their bodies twisted with mechanical growths, their minds already linked to the Nexus. Keep your quantum shields up, she ordered her team as they pushed forward. The personal shields, barely larger than a smartphone, were humanity's only defense against conversion. In the facility's core, they found Dr. Patel working frantically at the main console, surrounded by converted staff. She had sealed herself in a quantum bubble, but it was failing. The equations, Raven shouted as Jasmine's team engaged the converted. I solved it. The resonance frequency, it's not about disrupting their network, it's about overloading it. Jasmine fired another burst, her quantum-charged rounds permanently severing the converted from the Nexus. Little busy here, Doctor. No, you don't understand, Raven's eyes blazed with excitement even as her shield flickered. They're not just connected to each other, they're connected to everything they've ever converted. If we can trigger a quantum cascade. A massive explosion rocked the facility before she could finish. Through the breach poured more converted, led by something that made Jasmine's blood run cold. It had once been human, but now stood 3 meters tall, its body a horrific fusion of flesh, metal, and writhing dark energy. Nexus Commander, Raven whispered in horror. The being's voice echoed in their minds, a chorus of countless consumed consciousness speaking as one. Your resistance is noted. Your adaptation is impressive. You will be added to our perfection. Jasmine's quantum shield flared as the commander's energy blast struck it. Dr. Patel, whatever you're planning, do it fast. Raven's fingers flew across the console. Linking to all quantum shield facilities, converting power grid to quantum resonance matrix, initiating cascade. The air itself seemed to vibrate as every quantum shield generator on Earth synchronized to a single frequency. The converted screamed, not in pain, but in triumph as their quantum link suddenly strengthened. "No," the Nexus commander's voice boomed. "You do not understand. You have given us exactly what we now." Raven slammed her hand down on the console. The frequency shifted, multiplied, became chaos itself. The quantum network that gave the Nexus its power turned against it. The converted clutched their heads as their connection to the hive mind shattered. In orbit, the scout ships writhed, their organic technology trying desperately to adapt. The Defiant and its sister ships pressed their advantage, their weapons now infinitely more effective against the disrupted enemy. But as the dust settled and the converted collapsed, their mechanical components inert, Jasmine knew this was just the beginning. They had won their first real battle against the Nexus, but the war was far from over. 3 ships, she said, helping Raven to her feet. They sent 3 ships, and we barely stopped them. What happens when they send their main fleet? Raven's expression was grim but determined. Then we'll be ready. Today proved something they never expected: humanity can hurt them. And next time, we'll do more than just hurt them. As emergency teams secured the facility and medical units tended to the freed converted, Jasmine couldn't shake the feeling that the Nexus had learned far more about them than they had about it. The real test was still to come, and Earth would need every scrap of human ingenuity and Valkyrie wisdom to survive it. The United Earth Defense Council's war room had changed dramatically in the month since the Singapore attack. Holographic displays showed real-time quantum disturbance readings from across the solar system, while Valkyrie sensors probed the depths of space for any sign of the coming invasion. But today, all eyes were on the new arrivals. The Carvax delegation stood nearly 3 meters tall, their crystalline bodies refracting light in hypnotic patterns. The Marians, by contrast, were barely a meter in height, their biomechanical environmental suits humming softly. Both species had arrived within hours of each other, drawn by the quantum pulse that had repelled the Nexus scouts. "You did what no other species has managed," First Krystalchkar of the Carvax spoke, their thoughts translated by advanced Valkyrie tech. "You hurt them. Made them fear." Director Winters exchanged glances with High Counselor Zara. "Fear isn't enough. We need to stop them permanently." "Agreed," chittered Grand Engineer Pix of the Marians. "Our worlds fell to the Nexus decades ago. We've been hiding, running, watching. But now..." Their suit sensors pulsed with excitement. "Now we have hope." Dr. Raven Patel stepped forward, her quantum tablets projecting her latest findings. "The quantum cascade worked because it overloaded their network, but they'll adapt. We need something more permanent." "We bring gifts," Chkar announced. The Carvax produced a crystal that seemed to bend space around it. "Our phase shift technology. Imperfect, but combined with your quantum innovations. And our bioneural interfaces," Pix added, revealing a pulsing organic computer. "Together, perhaps." Lieutenant Commander Hayes watched the exchange with growing optimism. Each species brought unique perspectives, technologies, and most importantly, experiences fighting the Nexus. The Carvax understood spatial manipulation better than any race, while the Marians' biotech could adapt almost as fast as the Nexus itself. The next weeks were a blur of innovation and integration. The Defiant became a testing ground for merged technologies. Carvax phase crystals powered by Marian biocomputers, guided by human tactical systems, and protected by Valkyrie quantum fields. But would it be enough? They got their answer sooner than expected. Multiple quantum ruptures detected. Aria's warning echoed through every military installation in the solar system. Nexus fleet emerging, count exceeding 200 vessels. The main view screen showed a sight out of nightmares. The Nexus ships were larger than before, evolved. Their organic technology had adapted to the quantum cascade, growing new defenses. Leading them was a massive vessel that seemed to consume light itself, the Nexus command ship. All ships, battle formations, Captain Thompson's voice was steady despite the odds. The combined fleet of human, Valkyrie, Carvax, and Marian vessels moved into position. They were outnumbered 3-1, but each ship now carried the best technology four civilizations could offer. The Nexus struck first. Dark energy beams lashed out, but the upgraded quantum shields held. Jasmine, now tactical officer aboard the Defiant, coordinated the counterattack. Phase shift crystals at full power. Bioneural targeting active. All ships, execute pattern Delta. The Allied fleet seemed to dance through space itself, their movements guided by Marian prediction algorithms. Phase-shifted weapons fire bypassed the Nexus's adapted shields, while quantum-tipped missiles shattered their attempt to form a hive-mind link. But the Nexus command ship remained untouched. Its defenses were too strong, its counterattacks devastating. 3 Allied ships fell in quick succession. Their adaptation rate is increasing, Dr. Patel reported from her station. The quantum cascade won't work twice. We need something new. First Krystalchkar's voice cut through the chaos. The phase crystals, if we overload them near their command ship, it would create a spatial rupture, Pix finished. But the ship delivering the crystals wouldn't survive the detonation. A heavy silence fell over the command channel. Then Captain Thompson spoke. The Defiant will deliver the payload. No. Jasmine protested. Sir, let me take a smaller ship. We can't lose our flagship. We can't lose our best tactical officer either, Thompson countered. This is my decision. Begin evacuation procedures. As crews transferred to other vessels, Jasmine found herself on the bridge of a Valkyrie ship, watching her home of the past months prepare for its final mission. The Defiant's phase crystals were rigged to overload, its course set directly for the command ship. The Nexus, sensing the threat, concentrated its fire on the approaching vessel. The Defiant's shields blazed with absorbed energy, its hull cracking under the strain. But Thompson held course. It's been an honor, were his last words before the Defiant rammed the command ship at full speed. The explosion bent reality itself. A sphere of twisted spacetime expanded outward, catching both ships in its grasp. When it collapsed, both vessels were gone, leaving only a quantum disturbance that would take centuries to fade. The remaining Nexus ships, suddenly cut off from their command node, fell into disarray. The Allied fleet pressed their advantage, their combined technologies proving devastating against the uncoordinated enemy. Within hours, the battle was over. But victory came at a heavy price. The Defiant and her crew had sacrificed themselves to give the Alliance a fighting chance. And in the quantum wake of the battle, their sensors detected something troubling, a signal, barely detectable, suggesting that somewhere out in the void, the Nexus was already adapting, evolving, preparing for its next attack. As memorial services were held and reconstruction began, Jasmine stood in the observation deck of the Valkyrie flagship, watching Earth rotate below. Dr. Patel joined her, her tablets displaying new equations and theories. We hurt them today, Raven said softly. Badly. But you know they'll be back. Jasmine nodded. Then we'll be ready. Human, Valkyrie, Carvax, Marian, were stronger together than alone. And next time. She turned to face the scientist, her expression determined. Next time, we end this once and for all. The quantum sensors continued their silent vigil, watching for any sign of the enemy's return. The war wasn't over, but for the first time since the Nexus appeared, the Allied species had real hope. Not just of survival, but of victory. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the Mars research station Olympus hummed with activity. In pressurized domes beneath the red planet's surface, teams of scientists from all 4 allied species worked to unlock ancient secrets that could change the course of the war. Dr. Raven Patel stood before a holographic representation of the newly discovered ruins, her expression a mixture of awe and frustration. "The patterns are definitely artificial," she explained to the assembled leaders. "And they predate any known civilization by at least 1,000,000 years." Lieutenant Commander Hayes studied the complex geometric shapes etched into the Martian bedrock. After the loss of Captain Thompson and the Defiant, she'd been reassigned to head security for the Mars project. "How does this help us fight the Nexus?" First Crystal moved closer to the hologram, their crystalline body resonating with the displayed frequencies. "These patterns, they're similar to the quantum signatures we detected during the command ship's destruction." "More than similar," Grand Engineer Pix chittered excitedly, their biomechanical suit interfacing with the research station's computers. "They're identical. But how is that possible?" High Counselor Zara's iridescent form shimmered as she manipulated the display, expanding certain sections. "Because whatever we're looking at, it was built to fight the Nexus. Or something very much like it." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled team. The implications were staggering. The Nexus wasn't new to this galaxy. It, or something like it, had threatened life here before. "Look at this section," Raven highlighted a series of interlocking symbols. "It's not just decoration. It's a blueprint for a quantum phase resonator, but on a scale we've never imagined." "A weapon?" Jasmine asked, her tactical mind already considering the possibilities. "More like a reset button," Raven replied. "If I'm reading this correctly, it could sever every quantum connection the Nexus has ever made. Not just temporarily, like our cascade did, but permanently. Breaking their hive mind forever," Zara breathed. "Freeing every converted being in their thrall." But their discovery hadn't gone unnoticed. Deep space sensors suddenly blared to life, detecting multiple quantum ruptures. The Nexus had returned, and this time, they weren't attacking Earth. "They're heading straight for Mars," Jasmine announced, watching the tactical display with growing concern. "They must know what we've found." "How long do we have?" Director Winter's hologram asked from Earth Command. 2 hours, maybe less," Jasmine replied. "But that's not the worst part. These ships, they're different. The Nexus hasn't just adapted, they've completely redesigned their fleet." The new Nexus vessels were smaller, faster, more organic than mechanical. They moved like predators, their quantum signatures barely detectable until they were almost on top of their targets. "We need to evacuate," someone suggested, but Raven shook her head. "The blueprints are encoded in the ruins themselves. We can't move them, and we can't let the Nexus destroy them. This is our only chance to end this war." "Then we hold this position," Jasmine decided. "Dr. Patel, how long do you need to decode the complete weapon specifications?" "With help from all our scientists?" "Maybe 3 hours." "We'll give you 4, Jasmine promised, though she knew it was a promise she might not be able to keep. "First Crystal, can your phase shift technology hide the facility?" Shkar's crystalline form pulsed with energy. "For a time, yes. But they will find us eventually." "Good. Grand Engineer, we'll need your biocomputers to coordinate our defense systems. Counselor Zara, your quantum shields are our last line of defense." Jasmine turned to face the assembled teams. "I know I'm asking the impossible. But that's what this alliance does, we achieve the impossible together." The next 2 hours were a blur of preparation. The Mars facility transformed into a fortress, combining technologies from all 4 species in ways their creators had never imagined. Defensive turrets powered by Carvax crystals tracked targets through quantum space. Marian bioshields adapted and evolved in real time. Human determination met Valkyrie wisdom as teams worked to protect their discovery. When the Nexus struck, they struck hard. The first wave of attacks tested their defenses, probing for weaknesses. Nexus boarding craft, filled with converted troops, slammed against their shields. The facility's defenders fought back with everything they had, but the enemy's new organic technology was terrifyingly effective. Section 3 breach, a defender shouted. They're through the outer shields. Jasmine led the counterattack personally. The converted they faced were different now, faster, more aggressive, but also more independent. The Nexus was learning, adapting its control methods. The main lab is secure, she reported back, her quantum-enhanced weapon dropping another wave of converted. Dr. Patel, status? We're close, Raven's voice was strained but excited. The weapon design, it's beautiful. Whoever built this understood quantum mechanics better than all our species combined. A massive explosion rocked the facility. Through the breach stepped something that made even the hardened defenders step back. It was a new type of Nexus commander, its body a perfect fusion of organic and mechanical components. Unlike the previous versions, this one moved with terrible grace, its movements almost beautiful in their deadly efficiency. Your discovery comes too late, it spoke, its voice a chorus of countless minds. We have evolved beyond your understanding. Your weapon, even if completed, cannot harm us now. Maybe not, Jasmine replied, buying time as her teams moved into position. But we've evolved too. We've learned to work together, to combine our strengths. For species, one purpose. Admirable, the commander said. But futile. You will be added to our perfection, all of you. Your unique adaptations will make us stronger. Now. Jasmine ordered. Multiple attacks struck simultaneously. Karvak's phase beams distorted space around the commander while Marian bioweapons attacked its organic components. Human determination met Valkyrie precision as precisely targeted quantum pulses disrupted its connection to the hive mind. The commander staggered but didn't fall. Impressive. But not enough. It wasn't meant to be, Jasmine smiled grimly. It was just a distraction. Behind them, in the main lab, Dr. Patel's voice rang out in triumph. Download complete. We have the full weapon specifications. The commander's expression shifted to something almost like fear. Before it could react, Jasmine triggered her final surprise, a localized quantum cascade, refined and focused by all four species' technologies. The commander's form twisted, its connection to the hive mind severed permanently. Fall back to the inner sanctum. Jasmine ordered. We have what we need. As they retreated, securing their precious data, the facility's self-destruct sequence began. They had won this battle, but the war's true turning point was still to come. The weapon blueprints were only the beginning, now they had to build it, and use it, before the Nexus could evolve beyond its reach. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had been transformed. Where once there was only drifting rock and ice, now a massive construction project neared completion. The ancient weapon, as it had come to be called, stretched for kilometers, a perfect fusion of four species technologies built according to blueprints left by long-vanished predecessors. Lieutenant Commander Jasmine Hayes stood on the observation deck of the new flagship, Horizon's Dawn, watching teams of workers make final adjustments to the massive device. Dr. Raven Patel's voice came through her comm unit, excitement barely contained. The quantum resonance chamber is aligned perfectly, Raven reported. The Karvak's phase crystals are at full power, and the Marian biocomputers have finished their final calibrations. And the Valkyrie containment fields? Jasmine asked, though she already knew the answer. After a year of preparation, everything had to be perfect. Holding steady, High Counselor Zara confirmed from her position in the control center. Though our sensors detect increasing quantum disturbances, the Nexus knows what we're building. They're coming. They had all known this moment would come. The Nexus wouldn't allow them to complete a weapon capable of severing their hive mind permanently. Intelligence suggested they had spent the past year evolving, preparing, gathering their forces for one final assault. All ships, battle positions, Jasmine ordered. The combined fleet of humanity and their allies moved into defensive formations around the weapon. They had built and trained for this moment, knowing it would be their last chance. The quantum ruptures began at the edge of their sensor range. This time, the Nexus wasn't holding anything back. Thousands of ships emerged, their organic technology now so advanced they seemed almost alive. Leading them was something that defied description, a massive consciousness vessel that housed the core of the Nexus itself. "They've committed everything," First Crystal Jkar observed, their crystalline form resonating with tension. Their entire collective consciousness in one place. "As we hoped they would," Grand Engineer Pix added, their biomechanical suit interfacing with the weapon's controls. "They're too confident, too sure of their evolution." The Nexus fleet approached with inexorable purpose, their weapons already charging. When they spoke, it was with billions of voices in perfect harmony. "Your weapon is an abomination," the collective consciousness declared. "Built from stolen knowledge you cannot comprehend. Submit now, join our perfection, and we will preserve your uniqueness." Jasmine stepped forward on the bridge of Horizon's dawn, her voice firm. "Humanity and our allies reject your offer. We choose to remain free, to grow in our own way, to face the universe on our own terms. Then you choose extinction." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Nexus attacked with weapons that twisted reality itself, their ships moving with impossible grace. But the Allied fleet held firm, their combined technologies and tactics keeping the enemy at bay just long enough. "Weapon power at 80%, Raven reported from her station. "But we're taking heavy losses. We need more time." Jasmine watched as another Allied ship sacrificed itself to protect the weapon. They had known the cost would be high, but seeing it happen was different. Each loss was a friend, a colleague, a being who had chosen to fight for something greater than themselves. 90%, Raven called out. "But they're breaking through our lines." The Nexus consciousness vessel moved forward, its massive form dwarfing even their largest ships. Dark energy tendrils reached out, attempting to establish direct neural links with the defenders. Some succumbed, their ships turning against their former allies. "We cannot lose more ships," Zara warned. "The weapon requires the combined energy of our entire fleet to activate." Jasmine made a decision. "All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Direct all power to your quantum shields and prepare for point-blank engagement." It was a desperate move, but they were out of options. The Allied fleet moved as one, charging directly at the Nexus Armada. Ships from all four species fought side by side, their different technologies working in perfect harmony. Human determination, Valkyrie wisdom, Carvax precision, and Marian adaptability, all focused on one goal. "Weapon at 95%. Raven's voice was triumphant. Just a few more seconds. The Nexus realized too late what was happening. Their consciousness vessel tried to retreat, but they had committed too much of their force to the attack. They were trapped by their own strategy. "Now!" Jasmine ordered. The ancient weapon activated, its power drawn from the combined energy of four civilizations. A quantum wave unlike anything ever seen before expanded outward, its frequency precisely tuned to the Nexus's neural network. Where it touched their ships, the hive-mind connection shattered. The consciousness vessel writhed as billions of minds suddenly broke free of its control. Converted beings across thousands of light-years awakened to their own thoughts for the first time in centuries. The Nexus's perfect unity dissolved into chaos. "It's working!" Raven exclaimed. "The quantum signatures are collapsing. The hive mind is..." She never finished her sentence. The consciousness vessel, in its death throes, released a final burst of energy. Reality itself seemed to tear as the vast intelligence that had threatened so many civilizations finally died. When the quantum storms cleared, the battlefield was transformed. The Nexus ships drifted powerless, their organic technology inert without the hive mind to guide it. Aboard each vessel, former converted beings awakened to freedom, their individuality restored. The cost had been enormous. Many Allied ships had been destroyed in the final battle, their crews making the ultimate sacrifice to ensure victory. But they had won. The Nexus was gone, and they had done it together. Months later, Jasmine stood in the newly constructed Alliance chamber on Earth, watching representatives from dozens of freed civilizations sign the Articles of Unity. The four species that had started it all, human, Valkyrie, Carvax, and Marion, sat at the center, but they were no longer alone. "It's amazing," Raven said, joining her at the window. "A year ago, we thought we were facing the end of everything. Now look at us, united, stronger, ready to face whatever comes next." Together, Jasmine agreed, watching the sun rise over a new era of galactic civilization. "That's how we won, and that's how we'll move forward. Not perfect unity like the Nexus wanted, but something better, harmony through diversity." As the dawn light spread across the chamber, it illuminated not just the end of one threat, but the beginning of something greater. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or submission, but through cooperation and courage. The future was uncertain, but they would face it as they had faced the Nexus, together, each species contributing its unique strengths to a greater whole. The war was over, but their greatest adventures were just beginning. The end.